Before we begin, a quick disclaimer. The information provided in this video is for educational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional mental health advice, diagnosis, or treatment. I am not a licensed therapist or medical professional. If you are struggling with your mental health, please consult a qualified professional. Let's talk about two people. We'll call them Sarah and Mike. Both are in their late 20s, both are smart, and both work at the same company in the same department for the same demanding boss. One Friday afternoon, the boss calls a team meeting. The news is bad. Due to budget cuts, a major project they've both poured the last 6 months of their lives into is being canceled. Effective immediately. Sarah is devastated. She walks out of that meeting and her internal monologue sounds something like this. I can't believe this. All that work for nothing. This always happens to me. This company is a joke. My boss has no idea what he's doing. What's the point of even trying hard if this is the result? That evening, she vents to her friends, complains about her job, and spends the weekend feeling defeated and resentful. On Monday, she comes into work with a cloud over her head, her motivation shot just going through the motions. Now let's look at Mike. He walks out of that same meeting with the same bad news. He's disappointed, of course, but his internal monologue is radically different. It sounds like this. Wow, that stings. Okay, deep breath. This is out of my control. The project is dead. So what is in my control? I learned a ton about project management these last 6 months. I got really good at that new software. I built some great relationships with the team from marketing. How can I leverage those new skills and connections on the next project? What can I show the boss on Monday to prove I'm ready for the next challenge? That weekend, Mike updates his resume. Not because he's quitting, but to catalog his new skills. He polishes a presentation on what he learned from the canceled project. On Monday, he walks into work with a purpose. 6 months later, a senior position opens up. Who do you think gets the promotion? The difference between Sarah and Mike wasn't their intelligence, their experience, or their circumstances. It was their mindset. It was the internal operating system they used to process failure, adversity, and opportunity. And that is the single most powerful, yet most overlooked factor in determining the trajectory of your life. Your success in your career, your finances, your relationships, your health. It all hinges on the quality of the software running between your ears. The problem is, for most of us, that software is outdated. It's running on a default program that was installed at birth, a program designed for one thing and one thing only: survival. Your brain's factory settings are not designed for success in the modern world. They are designed to keep you safe in a world of prehistoric threats. This is why you feel the sting of criticism 10 times more than the pleasure of praise. That's your brain's negativity bias, constantly scanning for threats. It's why you procrastinate on big goals. Your brain sees a huge, uncertain task as a potential waste of energy, a risk to your survival. It's why you default to being Sarah, blaming the company, the boss, the economy. It feels safer to be a victim of your circumstances than to take ownership of them. The victim doesn't have to risk failing again. But here's the incredible news. You are not stuck with your factory settings. Your mindset is not fixed. It is a piece of software that can be uninstalled, debugged, and upgraded. And over the course of this presentation, I'm going to give you the exact blueprint to do it. We are going to deconstruct the mental models of the world's most successful achievers, the entrepreneurs, the athletes, the artists, and turn them into a practical step-by-step system you can use to build a stronger, more resilient, and more powerful mind. We're not talking about generic advice like, just be positive. That's like telling someone with a broken-down car to just drive faster. It doesn't work. You need to get under the hood and fix the engine. And the engine of your mindset, the absolute foundation upon which everything else is built, is a concept psychologists call the locus of control. It sounds academic, but it's brutally simple. Your locus of control determines where you believe power resides in your life. It's the answer to the question, who's in charge here? There are only two answers. The first is an external locus of control. This is Sarah's operating system. This is the belief that your life is primarily shaped by outside forces. Things like luck, fate, timing, other people's decisions, the government, the economy. When you operate from this place, the world happens to you. You are a passenger in your own life, and someone else is at the steering wheel. A person with an external locus of control says things like, I didn't get the promotion because my boss plays favorites. I can't start a business because the economy is too unstable. I'm late because the traffic was terrible. My relationships always fail because I just attract the wrong people. Notice the pattern. It's a language of blame and justification. It's a mindset that gives away all power to things outside of yourself. It's comfortable because if it's not your fault, you don't have to do the hard work of changing. But it is the single greatest barrier to achieving anything meaningful. The second answer is an internal locus of control. This is Mike's operating system. This is the core belief that you, your choices, your actions, your habits, and your responses are the primary driver of your life's outcomes. It's not about believing you can control the weather or the stock market. It's about focusing obsessively on the things you can control. You don't control the traffic, but you control what time you leave the house. You don't control your boss, but you control the quality of your work and your attitude. You don't control the economy, but you control your skills, your work ethic, and your financial habits. When you operate from this place, you happen to the world. You are the driver. A person with an internal locus of control says things like, I didn't get the promotion. What skills do I need to develop to be the undeniable choice next time? The economy is unstable. What kind of business could thrive in this environment? Or what skills are in high demand right now? I'm late. I need to leave 15 minutes earlier to account for unpredictable traffic. My last relationship failed. What patterns am I repeating? And what do I need to work on in myself to build a healthier partnership? This is the mindset of radical responsibility. It is the fundamental belief that you are the author of your life, not just a character in someone else's story. This shift from external to internal is the first and most critical step in building a stronger mindset. It's moving from being a thermometer, which simply reflects the temperature of the room, to being a thermostat, which sets the temperature. So how do you start making this shift right now, today? You start with a simple but profound challenge. For the next 24 hours, I want you to adopt a policy of zero blame. For every single thing that happens that you don't like, big or small, you are forbidden from blaming anything or anyone outside of yourself. Instead, you must ask yourself one question. How did I contribute to this outcome? If a coworker is rude to you, your first thought might be, what a jerk. The challenge is to stop and ask, did I do something to create this friction? Am I communicating clearly? Am I approaching them in a respectful way? Maybe the answer is no, maybe they are just having a bad day. But you still control your response. You can choose to escalate it, or you can choose to de-escalate it. That's your power. If you're stuck on a project, don't blame the instructions for being unclear. Ask, what questions can I ask to get clarity? Who can I reach out to for help? What's a different approach I can try? This isn't about self-flagellation or beating yourself up. It's the opposite. It's about reclaiming your power. Every time you blame, you are giving away a piece of your agency. Every time you take responsibility, you are taking it back. You are training your brain, rep by rep, to look for solutions instead of excuses. You are upgrading your software from victim to creator. This is the foundation. Taking ownership gives you back the steering wheel of your life. But a steering wheel is useless without an engine. You need a powerful, sustainable source of fuel to drive you toward your goals. A force that turns fleeting New Year's resolutions into an unstoppable lifestyle. That force is the second pillar of a world-class mindset, and it's what we're going to build next. That second pillar is your purpose. Your why. Not the surface level why, like I want to make more money, or I want to get in shape. We're talking about the bedrock reason for your existence. The thing that gets you out of bed on the days you feel broken. The reason you keep going when every cell in your body is screaming at you to quit. Let's be brutally honest. Willpower is a myth. Or rather, it's a finite resource like a battery on an old smartphone. You wake up with a full charge, but every decision you make, every temptation you resist, every minor frustration you endure drains that battery. By 3 p.m., you're running on fumes, and that's when you skip the gym, order the pizza, and scroll endlessly on your phone. You're not weak. You're just out of juice. Relying on willpower to achieve greatness is like trying to cross the Pacific Ocean in a rowboat. You might have a strong start, but you're going to get swallowed by the first major storm. Purpose, on the other hand, is not a battery. It's a nuclear reactor. It generates its own energy endlessly from a core that you define. It doesn't run out. When you're connected to a deep, meaningful purpose, the storm doesn't swallow you. It becomes the wind in your sails. Every challenge, every setback, every failure becomes fuel for the reactor. Because it's all part of the journey towards something that matters more than your temporary comfort. There is perhaps no greater testament to this than the story of Viktor Frankl. Frankl was an Austrian psychiatrist who was imprisoned in Nazi concentration camps during World War II. He was stripped of everything: his home, his career, his family, his name reduced to a number. He endured starvation, disease, and unimaginable brutality. He watched people around him, often stronger and healthier men, simply give up. They would lie down in the barracks and refuse to get up, succumbing to death within days. What was the difference between those who survived and those who perished? Frankl observed it wasn't physical strength. It was a sense of future. It was a purpose. For some, it was the thought of a child waiting for them back home. For others, it was a book they needed to write, a discovery they needed to share. For Frankl himself, it was two things: the hope of one day being reunited with his beloved wife, and the burning desire to finish his life's work in psychology, to teach the world what he was learning about suffering and meaning even in the depths of hell. This purpose gave him a reason to get up. It gave him a reason to endure the beatings, to swallow the watery soup, to stand for hours in the freezing cold. When he felt he couldn't take another step, he would imagine himself in the future, standing in a warm, well-lit lecture hall, teaching his students about the psychology of the concentration camp. This vision, this purpose, was a shield. It created a small private space in his mind that the Nazis could not touch. His body was imprisoned, but his mind, fueled by purpose, was free. Now, you and I will likely never face anything as horrific as a concentration camp. But we all face our own camps. The camp of a dead-end job. The camp of a toxic relationship. The camp of addiction, of depression, of crippling self-doubt. In these moments, willpower will fail you. Motivation will abandon you. The only thing that can pull you through the wire is your why. So how do you find it? This grand, life-saving purpose? It's not about waiting for a lightning bolt of inspiration. It's about excavation. You have to dig. And here are the 3 tools you're going to use to do it. The first tool is called the 5 whys. It's a simple but profoundly effective technique. You start with a surface-level goal and you ask why. 5 times to drill down to the core. Let's try it. Goal: I want to earn $1 million. Okay, why? So I can have financial freedom. Why do you want financial freedom? So I don't have to worry about bills and I can quit my job. Why do you want to quit your job and not worry about bills? So I can have control over my own time. Why is having control over your time important? So I can spend more quality time with my family and not miss my kids growing up. Okay, one more. Why is it so important that you don't miss your kids growing up? Because my own father worked all the time and I barely knew him. I want my children to feel seen, loved, and supported by their dad every single day. I want to build a legacy of presence. Boom, there it is. We went from $1 million, a cold, sterile number, to a legacy of presence. Which one do you think is going to get you out of bed at 5 a.m. to work on your business? Which one is going to help you push through rejection and failure? The $1 million is just a vehicle. The legacy, that's the fuel. That's your purpose. Do this for every major goal you have. The second tool is the tombstone test. It's a bit grim, but it's powerful. I want you to imagine your own funeral. You're a fly on the wall. Someone you love and respect deeply gets up to give your eulogy. What do you want them to say? What do you want to be remembered for? Don't think about your job title or how much money was in your bank account. No one puts "he answered all his emails promptly" on a tombstone. Think about your character, your impact. Were you kind? Were you courageous? Did you make people laugh? Did you inspire them? Did you leave the world a little better than you found it? Write down the words you would want to hear. That eulogy is a blueprint for your purpose. It's the summary of a life well lived. Now, your job is to reverse engineer it. Live every day in a way that makes those words true. The third and final tool is to find the intersection of your pain and your passion. First, what breaks your heart? What problem in the world, in your community, or even in your own family, makes you angry or sad? Is it animal cruelty? Is it loneliness among the elderly? Is it the way financial illiteracy traps people in poverty? The things that cause you pain are often a signpost pointing toward your purpose. Second, what makes you come alive? What activities make you lose all track of time? What subjects could you talk about for hours? This is your passion. It's the work you would do for free, simply for the love of doing it. Now look for the overlap. Where does the world's pain intersect with your personal passion? A person whose heart breaks for lonely animals and who loves training dogs might find their purpose in starting a rescue shelter. A person who is angered by financial illiteracy and who loves teaching might find their purpose in creating a YouTube channel that simplifies personal finance. Your purpose isn't just about what makes you happy. It's about harnessing what you love to do in service of healing something that you believe is broken. That is the most powerful combination in the universe. When you have this purpose, everything changes. It becomes your internal compass. When you have to make a difficult decision, you don't ask, what's easier? Or what's more profitable? You ask, which path is more aligned with my purpose? It also reframes failure. A setback is no longer a personal indictment of your worth. It's a data point. It's a lesson. It's a necessary detour on the path to fulfilling your mission. You don't quit because your mission is more important than your ego. So your task now is to dig. Use the 5 whys. Take the tombstone test. Find the intersection of your pain and passion. This isn't a one-time exercise. It's a living, breathing process. Your purpose may even evolve as you do, but you must have one. It is the core of a resilient mind. With a clear focus on what you can control, and a powerful purpose acting as your nuclear reactor, you have 2 of the essential pillars for a world-class mindset. You have the steering wheel and the engine, but even the most powerful engine is useless if it's not connected to the wheels. You need a system to transfer that incredible energy into consistent daily action. You need a way to build momentum that becomes unstoppable. That system is the 3rd pillar, and it's where we turn purpose into progress. And that system is what separates dreamers from doers. It's the transmission. It's the series of gears and levers that takes the raw, explosive power of your purpose and translates it into controlled, deliberate, forward motion. Because 1,000 horsepower is useless if it just spins the engine to redline while the car sits perfectly still. The world doesn't reward you for the power you have. It rewards you for the work you do. So how do we build this transmission? It's not about finding some magical productivity hack or a complicated 500-step morning routine. It's about understanding a fundamental law of physics and human nature. Objects in motion tend to stay in motion. The hardest part of any journey is not the 1,000th step. It's the first. The inertia is immense. The friction of doubt, procrastination, and old habits holds you in place. Our system, this 3rd pillar, is designed to do one thing and one thing only: to overcome that initial inertia with the least amount of energy possible. We're going to build a system around what I call a keystone habit. Think of an old stone archway. Dozens of stones, all held in place by one single, perfectly shaped stone at the very top, the keystone. If you remove that keystone, the entire arch collapses. But by that same token, when you put that keystone in place, it locks everything else together, creating a structure that can bear immense weight and stand for centuries. A keystone habit works the same way in your life. It's one small, seemingly insignificant routine that, when adopted, triggers a cascade of other positive habits and changes, locking a new, stronger version of you into place. Let me tell you about a guy named Mark. Mark had a powerful purpose. He was an accountant, good at his job, but he hated it. His dream, his purpose, was to become a successful freelance graphic designer. He had the talent. He'd spent nights and weekends learning the software, building a portfolio. His engine was roaring, but every single day he was stuck. He'd come home from his accounting job completely drained. He'd tell himself, "Tonight, I'm going to work on my design business for 3 hours." He'd sit down at his computer, open up a blank file, and just stare at it. The sheer size of the goal, build a successful business, was a mountain so tall he couldn't even see the top. It was paralyzing. So he'd check some emails. He'd scroll through social media for inspiration. Before he knew it, 2 hours had passed, his motivation was gone, and he'd just resigned himself to another night of TV feeling guilty and defeated. His powerful engine was just burning fuel going nowhere. Then Mark decided to try something different. He forgot about the 3-hour work blocks. He forgot about building a business. He decided on one tiny, almost laughable keystone habit. Every single day, as soon as he got home from work, before he did anything else, before he checked his phone, before he talked to his roommate, before he even took off his work shoes, he would walk over to his computer, open his design software, and draw one single perfect circle. That's it. Just one circle. Took him 10 seconds. Some days, that's all he did. He drew the circle, closed the laptop, and his commitment for the day was done. He was a success. But something funny started to happen. Most days he'd draw the circle and then he'd think, well, I'm already here. The software is open. Maybe I'll just sketch out that logo idea I had. 10 seconds would turn into 10 minutes. 10 minutes would turn into an hour. He had tricked his brain. He had bypassed the inertia. The hardest part, starting, was reduced to an action so simple, so non-intimidating, that his mind had no reason to fight it. That one tiny habit was his keystone. Drawing the circle made him feel like a designer, not just an accountant who dreams of being one. Because he was already at his desk, he was less likely to waste time on his phone. Because he was working on his portfolio, he started eating healthier, wanting more energy for his creative work. He started reaching out to potential clients because he now had new work to show them. Within 6 months, Mark had landed his first 3 paying clients. A year later, he quit his accounting job. The entire arch of his new life was built around that one simple 10-second habit of drawing a circle. This works because it's not about willpower. Willpower is a finite resource. It's like a muscle that gets tired. You cannot build a new life on the back of willpower alone. You will burn out. The Keystone system is about strategy. It's about making change so easy it's impossible to say no. So why is this so effective? 3 key reasons. First, it demolishes the friction of starting. The gap between thinking about doing something and actually doing it is where dreams go to die. A goal like get in shape is a vague, intimidating monster. But a keystone habit like put on my running shoes and walk to the end of the driveway is simple. It's achievable. It's a tiny concrete action that moves you from the world of thought into the world of physical reality. And once you're in motion, staying in motion is infinitely easier. Second, it builds a new identity. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become. When Mark was just thinking about being a designer, he was an accountant. When he started drawing that circle every day, he was casting a daily vote for his identity as a designer. When you meditate for 1 minute, you're not just meditating, you're casting a vote for being a calm, mindful person. When you write 1 sentence in a journal, you're casting a vote for being a writer. You are not trying to act your way into a new mindset. You are building a new mindset brick by brick with the evidence of your actions. Your brain starts to believe the story you're telling it with your habits. And third, it creates a chain reaction of positive momentum. Success breeds success. When you accomplish your tiny keystone habit, your brain releases a small hit of dopamine, the reward chemical. Feels good. Your brain says, hey, I like that. Let's do that again. This creates a positive feedback loop. Completing your habit makes you feel good, which makes you more likely to do it again, and also more likely to tackle the next slightly bigger task. It's a snowball of progress. You didn't start by trying to push a giant boulder up a hill. You started by flicking a single snowflake, which rolled and gathered more snow until it became an unstoppable avalanche of achievement. So right now I want you to think, what is your keystone habit? What is the one tiny 2-minute action that, if you did it every day, would start to lock the rest of your goals into place? Don't think big. Think microscopic. If your goal is to write a book, your keystone habit isn't write a chapter. It's open my laptop and write 1 sentence. If your goal is to start a business, it's not develop a business plan. It's spend 5 minutes every morning brainstorming 1 idea on a notepad. If your goal is to be healthier, it's not go to the gym for an hour. It's do 1 push-up, or fill up a bottle of water and put it on your desk. The key is to make it so easy you can't fail. The point isn't the immediate result. The point is to become the person who shows up every single day. Consistency is the currency of success. Once you have your keystone habit, you need to anchor it to an existing routine. This is called habit stacking. Our brains love patterns. You can hijack your existing patterns to build new ones. For example, after I pour my morning coffee, I will write 1 sentence in my journal. After I brush my teeth at night, I will read 1 page of a book. As soon as I get in my car to go to work, I will listen to 5 minutes of an educational podcast. You're not trying to find new time or new motivation. You are simply bolting your new desired habit onto the chassis of your existing life. You're making it an automatic, effortless part of your day. This is the system. This is the transmission. It's not glamorous. It's not a massive leap. It's a small, deliberate, intelligent step, taken consistently day after day. It connects the raw power of your purpose to the pavement of reality, and it starts to move you forward. Slowly at first, but then with gathering speed. This is how you build unstoppable momentum. But as that momentum builds, and as you start moving faster and further than ever before, you're going to hit bumps in the road. You're going to face setbacks. You're going to encounter failure. Your perfectly designed system will be tested. And if your mindset isn't strong enough to handle that pressure, you will break down. That's why the 4th pillar is all about forging the unbreakable resilience needed to weather any storm. It's 1962, A 65-year-old man is sleeping in the back of his car. He's broke. He's just been pushed out of the roadside motel and restaurant he'd spent decades building. His only income is a Social Security check for $105 a month. By every conventional measure, he is a failure. He has a choice. He can accept his fate, live out his remaining years in quiet obscurity, and become a footnote in his own family's history. Or he can take the one thing he has left, a unique recipe for fried chicken, and try one last desperate time. This man's name was Harlan Sanders, and he didn't just weather the storm. He decided to become the storm. He got back in his car, a 1946 Ford, and started driving. He went from restaurant to restaurant, town to town, sleeping in the back seat and living off the samples he cooked for skeptical owners. He wasn't just selling a recipe. He was selling a piece of himself, his belief in his own creation. He was rejected. Not once, not twice, not 100 times. The story goes that Colonel Sanders heard the word no 1,009 times before he got his first yes. 1,009 doors slammed in his face. 1,009 moments where it would have been easy, logical, even sane to just give up. But he didn't. That stubborn refusal to break is the essence of resilience. Most people think resilience is about bouncing back. That's only half the story. A rubber ball bounces back to its original shape. True mental resilience isn't about returning to who you were before the setback. It's about bouncing forward. It's about using the force of the impact, the failure, the rejection, the heartbreak, to propel you to a higher place than you were before. It's an active process of forging strength from struggle. It's not a trait you're born with. It's a skill you build, rep by rep, like a muscle in the gym. And there are 3 core disciplines to building this muscle. The first is to reframe failure as data. We are emotionally allergic to failure. It stings. It feels like a judgment on our character, our intelligence, our worth. But successful mindsets don't see it that way. They see failure as the tuition you pay for an education in what works. When Thomas Edison was searching for a viable filament for the light bulb, he famously tested thousands of materials that didn't work. When a reporter asked him, "How did it feel to fail 10,000 times?" Edison replied, "I haven't failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." He wasn't being clever. He was describing his process. Every failure was simply a new piece of data that narrowed his search and brought him one step closer to the solution. This is how you must begin to see your own setbacks. Did your business idea fail? You didn't fail. You just gathered invaluable market data on what customers don't want. Did a relationship end? You didn't fail. You just collected crucial data about your own needs, your boundaries, and the kind of partner you're truly compatible with. Every time you get a no, like Colonel Sanders, you're not getting a rejection. You're getting a piece of data. Maybe your pitch was wrong. Maybe you were talking to the wrong person. Maybe the timing was off. Your job isn't to absorb the emotional blow. Your job is to become a detective. Get curious. Analyze the data. What did this experience teach me? What's the 1% adjustment I can make for next time? When you stop seeing failure as an attack on your ego and start seeing it as a collection of data points, it loses its power to paralyze you. It becomes a tool. The second discipline is to obsessively focus on what you can control. The ancient Stoic philosophers called this the dichotomy of control. They argued that in any situation, there are things we can control and things we cannot. Our happiness and our effectiveness depend entirely on our ability to tell the difference. You cannot control the economy. You cannot control the traffic. You cannot control what other people think of you. You cannot control if a potential client says yes or no. Spending even 1 ounce of mental energy trying to will these things to be different is like trying to command the tides to stop. It's a complete and utter waste of your power. What can you control? Your effort, your attitude, your response, your actions. That's it. That's the entire list. Imagine you're driving to a critical meeting, and you hit a massive unmoving traffic jam. The amateur mindset immediately freaks out. They rage at the other cars. They curse their luck. They spiral into anxiety about being late, focusing on everything they can't control. Their stress hormones spike, their decision-making plummets, and they arrive at their meeting, if they even make it, flustered and defeated. The resilient Stoic mindset does the opposite. It immediately accepts the reality of the traffic. It's a fact like gravity. Wasting energy on it is pointless. Instead, they ask, what can I control right now? I can control my breathing to stay calm. I can control my thoughts, choosing to see this as an opportunity, not a catastrophe. I can control my actions. I'll call the person I'm meeting to let them know I'll be late. Maybe I'll use this unexpected time to rehearse my presentation one last time in my head, or listen to an educational podcast. They take the exact same external event, and by focusing on their internal locus of control, they transform a crisis into a productive moment. Colonel Sanders couldn't control whether a restaurant owner would like his chicken, but he could control getting up the next morning, cleaning his pressure cooker, and driving to the next town to try again. That's where his power was. That's where your power is. The third, and perhaps most crucial discipline is the practice of voluntary hardship. We live in a culture that worships comfort. We want the fastest delivery, the softest couch, the easiest path. But comfort is a gilded cage. It makes you soft. It lowers your tolerance for the inevitable friction of life. And when a real crisis hits, a job loss, a health scare, a betrayal, you have no training, no calluses on your mind to handle it. You shatter. Voluntary hardship is the antidote. It's about intentionally and regularly choosing to do difficult things to build your psychological immune system. It's an inoculation against adversity, taking a cold shower when you want a warm one, doing the workout when you feel lazy, having the difficult, honest conversation you've been avoiding, waking up an hour earlier to work on your personal project. These small, controlled doses of discomfort do something profound to your brain. They teach your nervous system on a biological level that you can handle stress. You learn that discomfort is not fatal. It's temporary. You build a track record of evidence for yourself that you are the kind of person who can push through resistance. Each time you choose the harder path, you are depositing a vote into the ballot box for your future, more resilient self. When a real involuntary hardship arrives, your mind doesn't panic. It thinks, "Oh, I've felt this before. I know this feeling of resistance. I've trained for this." You don't rise to the level of the occasion, you fall to the level of your training. Voluntary hardship is your training ground. These three disciplines, reframing failure as data, focusing on what you control, and practicing voluntary hardship, are not just nice ideas. They are the foundational pillars of an unbreakable mind. This is how you bounce forward. You harvest the data from your defeats. You ignore the noise you can't control and double down on the actions you can. And you deliberately toughen yourself in the fires of small, daily challenges so that when the great infernos of life appear, you are not consumed. You are forged. Resilience is the shield. It's what protects you from the blows, the rejections, the sheer, grinding pressure of a world that doesn't care about your dreams. It allows you to stay in the game when everyone else has quit. But a shield alone is not enough to win. A shield can keep you from losing, but it can't advance your position. For that, you need a weapon. You need a sword. The fifth pillar is about forging that sword, the razor-sharp tool that allows you to cut through distraction and apply overwhelming force to what truly matters. It's the power of unwavering focus. This sword isn't forged in fire and steel. It's forged in silence. It's hammered into shape not by force but by stillness. And its edge is sharpened by one thing and one thing only: your undivided attention. We live in an age of weapons of mass distraction. Every app, every notification, every headline is a soldier in an army fighting for the most valuable territory on earth. The few square inches of real estate behind your eyes. They don't want your money, not at first. They want your focus. Because whoever owns your focus owns your future. Think about it. The average person touches their phone over 2,000 times a day. We switch tasks every 40 seconds. We exist in a state of continuous partial attention, skimming the surface of life like a water bug, never daring to dive deep. We call it multitasking and we wear it like a badge of honor. But it's a lie. Multitasking is not a skill. It's a weakness. It's the illusion of being productive while actually just fragmenting your cognitive power into 1,000 useless pieces. It's like trying to power a city with 1,000 fireflies instead of one focused lightning bolt. The result? We feel busy but we're not productive. We feel connected but we're lonely. We consume endless information but we lack wisdom. Our greatest ideas, our most profound breakthroughs, the work that could define our lives. It all dies in the shallow waters of distraction, starved of the one resource it needs to survive: a deep, uninterrupted block of your time. Unwavering focus is the superpower of the 21st century. In a world that is screaming for your attention, the ability to deliberately go deaf to the noise and listen only to the signal of your own ambition is what separates the amateur from the master. It's the difference between dabbling and dominating. So, how do we forge this sword? How do we reclaim our focus in a world designed to steal it? It starts by building a fortress. Every great mind from Carl Jung to Bill Gates understood this. They created sanctuaries, physical and temporal spaces where the noise of the world could not enter. This is your first mission. You must design and defend a fortress of solitude. This isn't about being a hermit. It's about being a strategist. For a set period each day, you create an environment where deep work is not just possible, but inevitable. This means your phone is not on silent. It's not on your desk. It is in another room. Off. The television is off. The 27 tabs on your browser are closed. You close your office door, put on noise-canceling headphones, or go to a library where silence is the law of the land. You send a clear signal to the world and, more importantly, to your own brain. For the next 90 minutes, nothing else exists. This is all that matters. Why 90 minutes? Because our brains operate on natural cycles of energy, known as ultradian rhythms. We can maintain a state of high focus for about 90 to 120 minutes before we need a period of rest to recover and consolidate information. The greatest performers in the world don't work for 8 hours straight. They work in focused 90-minute sprints, followed by a short, deliberate break. They work like a lion, not a cow. A lion engages in an intense, focused hunt, and then it rests. A cow grazes all day. Stop grazing on your work. Learn to hunt. Schedule these 90-minute blocks in your calendar as if they were the most important meetings of your life, because they are. They are meetings with your own potential. During that time, you are a single-tasking samurai. You pick one target, the most important, cognitively demanding task of your day, and you pour every ounce of your mental energy into it. When the urge to check your email rises, you notice it and let it pass. When your mind wanders to what you'll have for dinner, you gently guide it back. You are training your brain like a muscle. First, it will be weak. It will scream for the dopamine hit of a notification, for the easy comfort of distraction. But every time you resist that pull and return to the task at hand, you are doing a bicep curl for your prefrontal cortex. You are strengthening your ability to concentrate. Consider the story of Bill Gates. Twice a year, for his entire career at Microsoft, he would disappear for something he called a think week. He would go to a secluded cabin in the woods, armed with nothing but books, research papers, and his own thoughts. No phone calls, no meetings, no internet. For 7 days, he would simply read and think deeply. It was during these focused weeks of solitude that some of Microsoft's biggest breakthroughs were born, ideas that would shape the future of technology. He wasn't multitasking. He wasn't staying connected. He was building a fortress, engaging in a week-long sprint, and focusing on the one thing that mattered most: thinking. He was forging the vision that would guide his entire company for the next 6 months. This is the power of what we're talking about. But there's a deeper mindset shift required here. We have to change our relationship with boredom. We've been conditioned to see boredom as a problem to be solved, a void to be immediately filled with a podcast, a video, a scroll through a feed. We are terrified of being alone with our own thoughts. But boredom is not the enemy. Boredom is the breeding ground for creativity. It's the quiet space where disparate ideas can finally connect. It's the canvas on which your subconscious can paint its masterpieces. When you resist the urge to immediately fill every spare moment with stimulation, you create a vacuum, and your mind, hating a vacuum, will rush to fill it with its own ideas, its own solutions, its own insights. Learning to be bored is learning to hear yourself think. Your sword of focus is forged in these moments. It's forged when you choose the difficult, important task over the easy, urgent one. It's forged when you sit with the problem for an hour without looking for an easy answer on the internet. It's forged every time you put your phone in another room and give your full, undivided presence to the person sitting across from you. This isn't about productivity hacks. This is about reclaiming your mind. It's about making a conscious choice to live a deep life in a shallow world. It's about understanding that the quality of your life is determined by the quality of what you pay attention to. So you build your fortress. You master the 90-minute sprint. You become a single-tasking samurai. You learn to embrace the creative power of boredom. You have now forged the blade. It is sharp, it is strong, and it is in your hand. But a sword, no matter how sharp, is just a piece of metal until it's tested in battle. Forging it is one thing. Wielding it against real resistance, against the dragons of fear, failure, and self-doubt, that is another challenge entirely. The next pillar is about what happens when you step onto the battlefield. It's about developing the unshakable courage to swing that sword, even when your hands are trembling. This is the moment of truth. It's the Colosseum gate sliding open, the roar of the crowd hitting you like a physical force, the sun blinding you as you step onto the sand. This is where theory ends and reality begins. This third pillar of a stronger mindset is called courageous action. And notice the wording very carefully. It's not fearless action. Fearlessness is a myth. It's a lie sold to us by movies and comic books. The bravest people on earth feel fear. The Navy SEAL kicking in a door, the entrepreneur pitching their life savings to a room of stone-faced investors, the artist revealing their most vulnerable work to the world, they all feel fear. The difference is they don't let fear make their decisions for them. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the judgment that something else is more important than fear. It's a muscle, not a mood. It's a choice, not a character trait you're born with. And nobody embodies this choice better than a man who started as one of the weakest, most fragile boys you could imagine. A young Theodore Roosevelt was a prisoner in his own body. Crippled by severe asthma, he was a pale, skinny kid who spent countless nights gasping for breath. His parents terrified he wouldn't make it to the morning. His world was small, confined to the four walls of his family's New York townhouse. Fear was his constant companion. The fear of another attack, the fear of not being able to draw a full breath, the fear of his own weakness. One day, his father, a man he idolized, looked him straight in the eye and said, "Theodore, you have the mind, but you do not have the body. You must make your body." In that moment, a switch flipped. The young boy made a decision. He decided that his future would not be dictated by his frailness. He chose action over affliction. He started a grueling, relentless regimen of physical training. He built a gymnasium in his home and pushed his body to its absolute limits day after day. He took up boxing, wrestling, hiking, anything that would challenge him. He wasn't fearless. Every punch he threw, every mountain he climbed was an act of defiance against the fear that had defined his childhood. He was forging courage, one painful repetition at a time. But his greatest test wasn't in a boxing ring. It came years later. By then, he was a rising political star, happily married to his college sweetheart, Alice, and they had just welcomed their first child. He had everything. And then, in a single 24-hour period, he lost it all. On Valentine's Day, 1884, in the very same house, his mother died of typhoid fever. Just 11 hours later, in a room upstairs, his beloved wife Alice died from kidney disease, 2 days after giving birth. He wrote in his diary that night, a single haunting sentence: "The light has gone out of my life." What do you do when your world collapses? When the universe delivers a blow so devastating it shatters your soul? Most people would retreat. They would crumble. And no one would have blamed him. But Roosevelt did something extraordinary. He turned his grief, his pain, his all-consuming fear of a future without love, and he channeled it into the most extreme action he could think of. He abandoned his political career, left his newborn daughter with his sister, and fled to the brutal, unforgiving wilderness of the Dakota Badlands. He bought a ranch and became a cowboy. He, the high society New Yorker, threw himself into a life of backbreaking labor, hunting, tracking, and surviving in one of America's harshest environments. He faced down blizzards, outlaws, and the crushing loneliness of the prairie. He wasn't running away from his pain. He was running through it. He was taking the most powerful, paralyzing emotions a human can feel and metabolizing them into action. He was making his mind the same way he had made his body, through deliberate, difficult, courageous challenge. This experience forged the man who would become president. It's what gave him the conviction to later say those immortal words: "It is not the critic who counts. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly." That is courageous action. It's choosing to be the man or woman in the arena. It's understanding that the pain of inaction, the sting of regret, the ghost of what if that will haunt you on your deathbed, is infinitely worse than the temporary pain of failure or embarrassment. So how do we cultivate this? How do we step into our own arena when our knees are knocking? We start small. We use a beautifully simple principle called the 2-minute rule. The idea is that any new habit, any daunting task, can be scaled down into something that takes less than 2 minutes to do. You don't say, "I'm going to write a book." You say, "I'm going to open my laptop and write 1 sentence." You don't say, "I'm going to get in the best shape of my life." You say, "I'm going to put on my running shoes and step outside." That's it. The goal isn't to achieve the outcome in 2 minutes. The goal is to master the art of showing up. It's to short-circuit the fear-based procrastination that our brain loves so much. Courage isn't a giant leap across a canyon. It's a single small step followed by another and another. The 2-minute rule is your first step. It's a vote you cast for your new identity, the identity of a person who takes action. But what about the big, life-altering decisions? The ones where the stakes feel impossibly high. Quitting the job you hate, starting the business you dream of, having that difficult conversation you've been avoiding for months. For this, we need a more powerful tool. It's a system popularized by author and investor Tim Ferriss called fear setting. It's the practice of defining your fears in excruciating detail, instead of letting them exist as vague, terrifying monsters in your head. Here's how it works. You take a piece of paper and you make 3 columns. In the first column, you define your nightmare. You ask, what is the absolute worst-case scenario if I do this? And you don't hold back. Get specific. If I start this business, what's the worst that could happen? I lose all my savings. I have to move back in with my parents. My friends think I'm a failure. Write it all down from a 1 to 10 scale of impact. Then in the second column, you ask, what can I do to prevent each of these things from happening, or at least minimize the damage? This is where you shift from a victim to a strategist. To prevent losing all my savings, I can start the business as a side hustle first. I can create a strict budget. I can secure a small loan instead of using all my cash. Suddenly, you're not just staring into the abyss. You're building bridges over it. Finally, in the third column, you ask the most important question. If the worst-case scenario does happen, what can I do to repair the damage? This is your emergency plan. If I lose my job, I can update my resume and start networking immediately. I can pick up freelance work. I can call my friend who works in recruiting. You realize that even the worst-case scenario is rarely a permanent state. It's survivable. It's a setback, not a death sentence. What this exercise does is brilliant. It takes the amorphous, terrifying cloud of fear, and it crystallizes it into a list of concrete, manageable, and often preventable risks. You realize the monster in the closet is just a pile of laundry. The cost of inaction, of staying in the same safe, unfulfilling place for the next 5, 10, or 20 years, suddenly seems terrifyingly high, while the risk of taking action seems surprisingly low. Courageous action is the engine of growth. It's the bridge between the person you are and the person you want to become. It's built not in moments of grand heroism, but in the quiet, daily decisions to take one more step, to write one more sentence, to face one more fear. It's about choosing the arena over the spectator seats, every single time. But what happens when you take that courageous action and you fall flat on your face? What happens when the arena floor is slick with your own blood and the crowd is jeering? Because that will happen. And your ability to get back up. That's where true strength is forged. This is the moment of truth. Not the moment of victory, but the moment of impact. The moment your brilliant idea hits the cold, hard wall of reality. That moment when the floor gives way and you're in free fall. Because getting back up isn't a single heroic act. It's a process. It's a system. And the people who achieve extraordinary things aren't the ones who never fall. They're the ones who have mastered the art of the intelligent recovery. Think about James Dyson. Before he was a billionaire, before his name was on every high-end vacuum cleaner and air purifier, he was a man in a garage failing. Not once, not 100 times. He went through 5,126 failed prototypes. 5,126 times he built a machine he believed would work, switched it on and watched it sputter, clog, or just plain fail. Can you imagine the sheer soul-crushing weight of that? Imagine prototype number 300. You're still hopeful. Imagine prototype number 1052. The hope is probably wearing thin. Now imagine prototype 4891. Your wife is supporting you on a teacher's salary. You've poured years of your life into this. Every single expert in the industry has told you that your idea, a bagless vacuum, is impossible and stupid. And for the 4,891st time, the universe has seemingly agreed with them. That is the arena floor. That is the jeering crowd. Even if it's just the voice in your own head, most people would have quit. They would have concluded, I am a failure. But Dyson did something different. He didn't see 5,126 failures. He saw 5,126 steps. He saw 5,126 lessons in what not to do. Each failure wasn't an endpoint, it was a data point. It was information he was purchasing with his time and effort. He wasn't failing. He was learning at an elite level. This is the most critical mindset shift you will ever make. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is a fundamental, non-negotiable part of the process. The real opposition to success isn't failure. It's stagnation. It's inaction. It's the refusal to risk falling in the first place. So, when you fall flat on your face, what is the system for an intelligent recovery? First, you have to allow yourself to feel the sting. This is not about toxic positivity. This isn't about pretending it doesn't hurt. It does. When you fail, your brain can register it as a genuine threat, a social death. It floods you with cortisol. Feels awful. Don't deny that. Give yourself a brief, defined period to be angry, to be frustrated, to mourn the loss. 5 minutes. An hour. A day. Whatever it is, put a container around it. Acknowledge the emotion, let it speak, but do not let it take the wheel. The goal is to process the emotion, not to marinate in it. Second, and this is where the magic happens, you must perform a forensic audit of the failure. Not on yourself, but on the process. This is the crucial distinction. When we fail, our default setting is to turn the spotlight inward and say, "What's wrong with me?" That's a dead-end street that leads only to shame and paralysis. A stronger mindset turns the spotlight outward and asks, "What's wrong with the approach?" You become a detective at the scene of the crash. You take out your notepad and you ask cold, hard, unemotional questions. 1. What was my original hypothesis? What did I believe would happen? 2. What actually happened? Be specific. Write it down. 3. What was the delta? What is the gap between expectation and reality? And 4. The million-dollar question, why? Why did this gap exist? Was it a flawed assumption? Did I misjudge the market? Was my technical skill not up to the task yet? Did I communicate my idea poorly? Was my timing off? You have to get brutally honest and surgically precise. "I'm just not good enough" is a useless, lazy conclusion. My value proposition wasn't clear enough to the target demographic because I used industry jargon instead of focusing on their core problem. Now that is a piece of high-value intelligence. That is a lesson you can use. Every failure, if you look at it this way, contains a priceless nugget of data. Your job is to sift through the wreckage, find that nugget, and put it in your pocket for the next attempt. The cost of that information was the failure itself. You've already paid the price, so you might as well collect the prize. To fail and not learn is to pay tuition for a class you didn't attend. This leads to the third and most profound step. You must violently separate your identity from the outcome. An event is not a person. A result is not a reality. Let me say that again, your performance is not your personhood. The fact that your business failed does not make you a failure. It makes you a person whose business failed. The fact that your speech bombed does not make you a bomb. It makes you a person who gave a speech that didn't land. This isn't just semantics. This is psychological survival. When you fuse your identity with your successes and failures, you're riding a brutal emotional roller coaster you can't control. A win makes you a god. A loss makes you a worm. It's exhausting and unsustainable. A stronger mindset sees every attempt not as a final judgment, but as a version. Think like a software developer. You just launched version 1.0 of your project, and it was buggy. It crashed. The users hated it. Okay, you don't throw the entire computer in the trash and declare yourself a failed programmer. You collect the bug reports. You see what went wrong, and you get to work on version 1.1. You are not a finished product. You are a work in progress. This attempt, this failure, this faceplant in the arena, it's just the bug report on your current version. It's invaluable feedback showing you exactly what needs to be patched, what needs to be upgraded for the next iteration. Michael Jordan didn't see his thousands of missed shots as a verdict on his identity as a basketball player. He saw them as the necessary reps that made the game-winning shots possible. Thomas Edison famously said he hadn't failed 10,000 times to make a light bulb. He had successfully found 10,000 ways that would not work. The language you use during this process is everything. Your self-talk becomes your reality. So banish the phrase, "I failed." Replace it with, "That attempt failed." Banish, "I'm an idiot." Replace it with, "That was a miscalculation." Shift from judgmental language to observational language. See yourself as a scientist running an experiment. The experiment just produced an unexpected result. Fantastic! The most exciting discoveries in history came from unexpected results. What can this one teach you? When you adopt this framework, feel the sting, audit the process, separate the identity. Getting back up is no longer an act of blind courage. It becomes a logical, strategic next step. It's not about being tough. It's about being smart. It's about understanding that the path to success is not a straight line drawn with a ruler. It's a messy, chaotic scribble. It zigs, it zags, it backtracks, and it's filled with crumpled up drafts. The winners are simply the ones who keep scribbling, who keep drafting, who see every mistake not as a reason to stop, but as a reason to start the next page with more wisdom than they had before. This resilience, this ability to convert failure into fuel, is the engine of all achievement. It's what separates the amateur from the professional, the dreamer from the doer. But resilience alone isn't enough. Once you're back on your feet, with the lesson learned and your identity intact, you need a way to ensure your next step is more powerful, more precise, and more potent than the last. You need to channel that hard-won wisdom into unstoppable momentum. And this momentum isn't some mystical force that you hope to catch like a lucky wave. Something you build, brick by brick, action by action. It's a machine, an engine of progress that you assemble yourself, and its most critical component is the small, seemingly insignificant win. We are obsessed with the giant leap, the overnight success, the quantum jump from zero to hero. But that's not how the human brain is wired to build lasting change. The brain is wired for reinforcement. It's a reward-seeking machine. And when you aim for a goal so massive that the reward is months or years away, you're essentially asking your brain to run a marathon on an empty tank of gas. It will burn out. It will seek easier, faster rewards, which is why you end up scrolling on your phone instead of working on your business plan. The secret to building unstoppable momentum is to stop chasing the finish line and start celebrating the first step. And the step after that, and the one after that. You need to re-engineer your process to deliver a steady stream of small psychological wins. Each one releases a tiny pulse of dopamine, the neurochemical of motivation and reward. It's a signal to your brain that says, "Hey, what you just did, that was good. Do it again." One small win doesn't feel like much, but a dozen small wins in a day, 100 in a week, that creates a neurological state of forward motion. It becomes a self-perpetuating cycle where action fuels motivation, and motivation fuels more action. You are literally rewiring your brain to associate effort with reward, making it easier and more automatic to do the hard things. So how do we do this? We start with what I call the ignition sequence. The single greatest enemy of momentum is inertia. It's the overwhelming feeling of, I don't want to start. The task looks too big, the effort too great. The ignition sequence is designed to bypass this resistance entirely. The rule is simple. Whatever the task is, you only have to do it for 2 minutes. Want to build a workout habit? Don't commit to a 1-hour gym session. Just put on your workout clothes and do jumping jacks for 2 minutes. Want to write a book? Don't stare at a blank page trying to write a chapter. Just open the document and write anything, literally anything, for 2 minutes. Want to start a meditation practice? Don't try to sit in silence for 30 minutes. Just sit down and focus on your breath for 2 minutes. Almost anyone can do something for 2 minutes. The beauty of this rule is that it's not about the output of those 2 minutes. The goal is not to get a great workout or write a brilliant paragraph. The goal is to win the battle of starting. Because once you start, Newton's first law kicks in. An object in motion stays in motion. More often than not, your 2 minutes of writing will turn into 10, then 30. Your 2 minutes of jumping jacks will lead you to think, well, I'm already in my gear, I might as well do a few push-ups. You have overcome the single biggest hurdle, and in doing so, you have logged your first small win of the day. You've started the engine, but an engine that just idles is useless. You need to put it in gear. This is the second step. Win stacking. After you complete your 2-minute ignition, you must immediately and consciously link it to the next logical, simple action. This creates a chain reaction. It's about making the next right decision the easiest decision. For example, after you finish your 2-minute workout, your win stack isn't to go back to the couch. It's to immediately place your water bottle and gym shoes by the door for tomorrow. You've stacked a win for your future self. After you finish your 2 minutes of writing, your win stack is to open one research article you need for the next section and leave the tab open. You've lowered the barrier to entry for the next session. Win stacking transforms isolated actions into an interconnected system of progress. You're not just completing tasks, you're building a runway for your future self to take off from. Each small action lays the groundwork for the next, reducing the friction required to get started again. This is how you turn a single spark into a steady flame. You feed it, you protect it, and you give it a clear path to follow. The third and most crucial piece of this momentum engine is the feedback loop. You must consciously acknowledge the win. This is non-negotiable. Our brains are incredibly efficient at noticing what's wrong, what's missing, what we haven't done yet. We are masters of self-criticism. We finish a task and our mind immediately jumps to the next 10 things on the to-do list, completely ignoring the victory we just achieved. This is a catastrophic waste of motivational fuel. You have to interrupt this pattern. After every single win, no matter how small, after your 2-minute ignition, after you stack the next action, you must create a moment of celebration. This doesn't have to be a parade. It can be an internal 2-second event. You can literally close your eyes and say to yourself, "Good, I did it." You can do a small silent fist pump. You can take one deep, satisfying breath and allow yourself to feel a flicker of pride. What you're doing is closing the loop. You're telling your brain with intention, that action led to this positive feeling. This is a pattern worth repeating. Without this conscious acknowledgement, the win evaporates. With it, the win becomes a building block, reinforcing the very neural pathways that make discipline and execution feel less like a chore and more like a part of who you are. This system, ignition, stacking, and feedback, is how you manufacture momentum from scratch. But what happens when you fail? What happens when you miss a day? The chain breaks, the engine sputters, and the inertia returns with a vengeance. This is the critical moment where most people give up. They see one missed workout or one unproductive day as total failure. Their internal critic says, "See? I knew you couldn't do it," and they believe it. The mindset of momentum has a built-in protocol for this. It's a simple but powerful rule. Never miss twice. Missing one day is an anomaly. It's life. You get sick. An emergency comes up, you're exhausted. It happens. Missing 2 days in a row is not an anomaly. It is the beginning of a new habit. It is a vote for your old identity. The never miss twice rule provides a clear, immediate path to redemption. It removes the guilt and shame from a single slip-up and replaces it with a singular focus. Get back on track now. Didn't write today? Fine. But you are writing tomorrow, even if it's just for 2 minutes. Skip the gym? It happens. But you are putting on your shoes and walking around the block tomorrow. No exceptions. This rule transforms failure from a dead end into a data point. It gives you permission to be imperfect, but it demands that you remain committed. It's the ultimate safety net for your momentum. It ensures that one bad day can never derail your entire journey. By focusing relentlessly on these small, controllable actions, the 2-minute start, the stacking of the next win, the conscious celebration, and the commitment to never miss twice, you shift your entire perspective. You stop trying to conquer the mountain in a single day. Instead, you become a master of taking the next step perfectly. And you learn that the secret to reaching the summit isn't a miraculous leap, but the unstoppable compounding power of one small, deliberate step, taken again and again and again. But here is the brutal, unspoken truth about taking those steps. Even when they are perfect, even when they are deliberate and consistent, you will still fall. You will stumble. You will fail. There will be days when you take a step forward, only to be shoved 2 steps back by a force you didn't see coming. A project you poured your soul into collapses. A business partnership dissolves. The market shifts from under your feet, rendering your hard-earned expertise obsolete. This is not a possibility. It is a mathematical certainty on the long timeline of any ambitious goal. And it is in this moment, the moment of impact, the moment the ground gives way, that the true strength of your mindset is revealed. It's where most people break. Because most of us have been taught to view failure as a final verdict. It's a scarlet letter we wear, a judgment on our worth, our intelligence, our capability. The project failed, therefore I am a failure. The business failed, therefore I am not a good entrepreneur. This connection, this fusion of outcome to identity, is the single most destructive force to long-term success. A strong mindset performs a kind of mental alchemy here. It doesn't try to avoid failure. It doesn't pretend the fall didn't hurt. Instead, it fundamentally changes what failure means. It reframes it from a verdict into a tool. Imagine 2 programmers, both brilliant, both working on a revolutionary new app. Let's call them Mark and David. Both spend a year of their lives coding, designing, and dreaming. They both launch on the same day. And they both fail. The app gets a handful of downloads and a slew of negative reviews. It's a complete flop. Mark is devastated. His internal monologue sounds like this. I knew it. I'm a fraud. A year of my life wasted. All that effort for nothing. I'm just not good enough to compete. My idea was stupid, and I was stupid for believing in it. For Mark, the failure of the app is the failure of Mark. The verdict is in. He shelves the project, his confidence is shattered, and he goes back to a job he doesn't love, convinced he simply doesn't have what it takes. His journey ends there. Now let's look at David. He's just as disappointed. The sting of failure is just as sharp, but his internal monologue is radically different. It sounds like this. Okay, wow, that did not work. The launch was a failure. Let's look at the data. The negative reviews all mention the user interface is confusing. Our user retention numbers show people drop off after the first 30 seconds. The marketing message clearly didn't resonate with the target audience. The app didn't work. The launch strategy didn't work. This isn't a verdict on me. This is invaluable information. Do you see the critical difference? Mark made it about his identity. David made it about the strategy. Mark saw a stop sign. David saw a roadmap showing him all the wrong turns he took. David understands a core principle of the strong mindset. You are the scientist, not the experiment. The experiment can fail. In fact, good scientists run experiments that are designed to fail, to test the limits of an idea. But the scientist doesn't become a failure when the beaker explodes. The scientist simply takes notes, learns why it exploded, and designs a better, safer, more effective experiment next time. This is the first and most powerful reframe. You must surgically separate your identity from your outcomes. The failure of a project is not the failure of a person. It is simply the universe giving you a highly potent, unfiltered, and incredibly valuable piece of feedback. People pay consulting firms hundreds of thousands of dollars for the exact kind of market feedback that failure gives you for free. The price of admission is your ego, and it's a price the strong-minded are willing to pay every single time. This leads to the second principle. Learn to conduct a blameless postmortem. When a plane crashes, the NTSB doesn't just go to the crash site and say, "Well, looks like a failed flight." They meticulously recover the black box. They analyze every piece of data, the weather, the maintenance logs, the pilot's conversations, the mechanical readouts, not to find someone to blame, but to find the reason for the failure so that it can be prevented from ever happening again. You must become the NTSB investigator of your own failures. After the emotional dust settles, and you must allow it to settle, you need to sit down and analyze the black box of your project. Don't ask, "Whose fault was this?" Ask, "What happened?" And more importantly, why? Create a simple protocol. First, what was the specific intended outcome? I wanted to launch an app and get 10,000 downloads in the first month. Be precise. Second, what was the actual outcome? I launched the app and got 200 downloads and 15 one-star reviews. Be brutally honest. Third, and this is the most important step, what is the gap between those 2 points and what were the controllable factors that contributed to that gap? Maybe your assumption about what users wanted was wrong. Maybe your marketing was aimed at the wrong platform. Maybe a key feature in the app was buggy. Maybe your price point was too high. Notice that none of these are character flaws. They are not indictments of your worth. They are strategic errors. They are tactical miscalculations. They are data points. And each one is a golden lesson that you just learned in the real world, not in a textbook. This process transforms failure from a source of shame into a source of education. It turns a dead end into a classroom. Every stumble, every mistake, every outright disaster becomes another entry in your personal playbook of what not to do. Over time, this playbook becomes your single greatest asset. While others are paralyzed by the fear of making a mistake, you are actively seeking the edges of your competence, willing to make mistakes in a controlled way, simply to gather more data and refine your approach. This is the essence of becoming anti-fragile. Resilience is about bouncing back to where you were before you got hit. Anti-fragility is about getting stronger every time you get hit. A teacup is fragile. It shatters when dropped. A tennis ball is resilient. It bounces back to its original shape. But your mindset can be like a human bone. If you fracture it and it heals correctly, the point of the break becomes the strongest part of the bone. Every failure you analyze and learn from is like a hairline fracture that heals back stronger. It reinforces your strategy, deepens your understanding, and fortifies your resolve. You start to realize that the people who achieve extraordinary things aren't the ones who never fail. They are the ones who fail the most. They are simply the world's most intelligent, most efficient failures. They fail, learn, iterate, and go again while everyone else is still on the sidelines, terrified of getting their first scratch. They understand that the path to the summit is not an immaculate, straight line. It's a messy, jagged ascent, marked by the scars of lessons learned, and they wouldn't have it any other way. But what happens when the failures keep coming? What about when you do the postmortem, you learn the lesson, you try again, and you still hit a wall? How do you fuel the engine of motivation when the tank feels completely empty? That requires something deeper than just reframing failure. It requires a fundamental shift in the very source of your drive, moving your focus away from the fleeting nature of goals and toward the unshakable foundation of your own identity. This is the fundamental flaw in a goal-oriented life. Your happiness becomes a moving target. You tell yourself, I'll be happy when I get the promotion. I'll feel successful when I lose the weight. My life will be complete when I hit that revenue number. So you grind, you sacrifice, you push through the pain, and one day you finally get there. You cross the finish line. And for a moment there's a rush of euphoria, of relief, of validation. But then what? The sun rises the next day. The feeling fades. The hedonic treadmill, as psychologists call it, keeps spinning. The very thing that gave you purpose is now in your rearview mirror. And you're left with a quiet, creeping emptiness. So you do the only thing you know how to do. You set another goal, a bigger one, a more audacious one, and you start running all over again, chasing a horizon that will always recede as you approach it. You've built your entire sense of self on a foundation of what's next, never on what is. This is a fragile way to live. Your self-worth is perpetually on loan, contingent on your next victory. A missed target isn't just a setback, it's an indictment of your character. A failure isn't a lesson, it's a verdict that you are not enough. The alternative, the path to a truly unshakable mindset, is to stop attaching your identity to the things you achieve and start anchoring it in the person you are becoming. The difference is subtle, but it changes everything. It's the difference between saying, I want to run a marathon, and saying, I am a runner. The person who wants to run a marathon is focused on an outcome. Their training is a means to an end. If they get injured, they get discouraged. If life gets busy and they miss a few training sessions, they feel like a failure. The entire process is a source of stress and pressure, a countdown to a single day of judgment. And after the marathon is over, win or lose, the purpose evaporates. They stop running. But the person who identifies as a runner, their entire world is different. They don't run to complete a marathon. They run because that's who they are. It's an expression of their identity. When it's raining outside, they don't see an obstacle. They see a chance to prove their commitment. When they get injured, they don't quit. They focus on physical therapy, on nutrition, on whatever it takes to get back to their practice, because a runner takes care of their body. The marathon isn't the ultimate goal. It's just one of many things a runner does. Their success isn't defined by a finish line. Their success is defined every single morning they lace up their shoes. The process is the prize. Think about it in another context. The goal, I want to write a book, is daunting. It's a mountain with no clear path. But the identity, I am a writer, is a daily practice. What does a writer do? A writer writes. So today you write one page, or one paragraph, or even just one sentence. It doesn't matter. By performing the action, you are embodying the identity. You are casting a vote for the person you want to be. This is the secret. Your identity isn't something you're born with. Something you build one choice at a time. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. When you choose to go to the gym instead of staying on the couch, you cast a vote for, I am a disciplined person. When you read a chapter of a book instead of scrolling on your phone, you cast a vote for, I am a learner. When you handle a difficult conversation with patience instead of anger, you cast a vote for, I am an emotionally intelligent person. These individual votes may seem small, insignificant. One workout won't transform your body. One page won't write a novel. But they are never wasted. They are the evidence you are presenting to the most important jury of all, yourself. Over time, these votes accumulate. The evidence becomes overwhelming. Your belief in your new identity solidifies, not because of wishful thinking or empty affirmations, but because you have a mountain of proof. You're not trying to be a disciplined person anymore. You simply are one. You have the receipts to prove it. This shift from outcome to identity completely revolutionizes your relationship with failure. When your goal is to get a promotion and you don't get it, you have failed. The story ends there. But when your identity is that of a valuable, high-performing professional, not getting the promotion is simply a data point. The outcome doesn't define you. Your identity does. So you ask yourself, what would a high-performing professional do in this situation? They wouldn't quit. They wouldn't blame others. They would analyze the feedback, identify areas for growth, acquire new skills, and double down on providing undeniable value. The outcome didn't change their identity. Their identity dictated their response to the outcome. This makes resilience automatic. It makes discipline a natural byproduct of who you are, not a finite resource you have to deplete. You're no longer forcing yourself to do things you don't want to do. You are simply acting in alignment with who you believe you are. And the more you act that way, the stronger that belief becomes. It's a powerful, self-reinforcing loop. So how do you start? You start small. You start by proving it to yourself in a way that is so easy you can't possibly say no. Don't set a goal to become a reader. Build an identity as a reader. And how do you do that? Read 1 page a day. Just one. Anyone can read 1 page. By doing so, you've cast your first vote. You've started building the evidence. Soon 1 page will feel too easy. You'll start reading 2, then 10, then a chapter. Not because you have to, but because that's what a reader does. Don't set a goal to get in shape. Build an identity as a person who never misses a workout. Your workout might be 2 push-ups on the floor of your bedroom. It doesn't matter. The point isn't the intensity of the action. It's the consistency of the identity. You are showing up. You are casting the vote. You are becoming that person. For centuries, we've been told to look outside ourselves for success, for the trophy, the title, the number in the bank account. We've been taught to be architects, designing a grand future structure and then laboring to build it. But this is the wrong metaphor. The strongest mindset isn't built by an architect. It's revealed by a sculptor. You are the sculptor, and the marble is your own character. The masterpiece, the strong, resilient, successful person you want to become, is already inside the stone. It's not something you have to build from scratch. It's something you have to uncover. Every choice you make, every action you take is a tap of the hammer, a scrape of the chisel. Every time you choose the harder right over the easier wrong, you chip away a piece of marble that isn't you. Every time you show up when you don't feel like it, you smooth an edge, you define a feature. The goal isn't to finish the statue. The joy, the purpose, the success is found in the act of sculpting itself. It's in the daily process of chipping away the doubt, the laziness, the fear, and revealing the magnificent form that lies beneath. So stop chasing success as if it's some destination you have to arrive at. It's not. Success is the byproduct of who you become. The strongest mindset isn't a set of tools you use to get what you want. It is the very reflection of who you believe you are. The real game isn't about winning. It's about building an identity so strong that winning becomes an inevitable consequence of playing. The question you need to ask yourself is no longer, what do I want to achieve? The most powerful question you can ever ask is, who do I want to become? Decide who that person is. Then today, with one small, almost imperceptible action, cast your first vote.